Bitcoin pumps when missiles are actually striking in this war. Meanwhile, we get a ceasefire and now Bitcoin looks like it's stalling out. In today's video, we'll be talking about exactly this. We'll be going over the recent Bitcoin price action, taking a look at the liquidity charts as we normally do, and we'll also be going over Fed Chair Jerome Powell's recent comments. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Let's jump right into the video. I would imagine that this should be a relatively quick video because not much has changed over the past few hours. Now, Bitcoin is stuck between two regions. We are here holding the monthly open as support, which is of course positive. However, we are also starting to see resistance right at 106.2K. Why is 106.2K so important? Once again, if you've been watching the channel, you know that this is the level that we were never able to get a daily close above. A wick, another wick, several wicks over here when we set that all-time high around inauguration. Now, Bitcoin is within this parallel channel, and the first time that we were ever able to get a close above this level, we got that new all-time high. We've been talking about this at length on the channel, but I just wanted to remind you in case you're new. Now, we can see that we are starting to get some wicks to this level. Is this the area where Bitcoin gets rejected and we go lower into the summer chop? Let's try and find out. So we can see a wick over here, another big wick over here, which brought Bitcoin down below $100,000, and that's where we went long in my community. Then we took some profits, and right here, Bitcoin is sitting just around 105.5K. So are we going to get rejected here? You can see that if I really zoom out here, this is indeed a pretty solid parallel channel, and this might actually be the summer range that I've been talking about. I'm still waiting for further confirmation before we can really set this in stone, but right now, if we were to go and pump to the top and get rejected and then come back down, at that point, we would have to confirm that yes, this is the summer range. However, if in the coming weeks, Bitcoin were to break down from here and then it starts chopping around in this region, then at that point we would have to reconsider the summer range. But so far, so good. This does look like a reasonable summer range in my opinion, and it does align with what I've been talking about, where Bitcoin would likely find its way back into the mid 90K region sometime this summer. So right here, in my community, we actually took a little bit of a bet here after taking some profits on the longs, and I actually went short. Now, if you want to know the exact levels that I trade on a daily basis, make sure to click the first link in my description down below, which brings you to my community where we share some analysis and we also go over the most recent trades in the chat. That is, again, the first link in my description down below. Now, we also have Bluffin if you'd like to trade. That is the second link in my description down below. Great platform, and it's where I make most of my trades these days. Back to the Bitcoin chart here. So the reason why I'm willing to take this small bet here is because we know that 106.2K is a very important resistance and support level. We break above there and hold it as support on the daily time frame. All of a sudden, we can start talking about going much higher towards at least the top of this range, potentially even getting a wick and targeting higher liquidity. Now, I don't think that we will be getting an aggressive new all-time high within the summer chop, but we cannot ignore the fact that if we are to start closing above this level, Bitcoin can go ahead and move higher. However, there are a couple of indications telling me that potentially Bitcoin could roll over here for a potential short-term trade. At least that's what I shared within the community. Now, outside of the important 106.2K level, we also have the Monday high method. If you don't know this method, it's very, very simple. Once Bitcoin sets its Monday high, it goes and revisits that high later in the week, and it tends to see a rejection. At least this is what happens in recent times. As you can see, we revisit the Monday high, and then we come back down. We revisit the Monday high, and then we come back down. Then we get a pump and we go ahead and revisit that Monday high a second time throughout the week, come back down, so on, so forth. Now, right here, this is the current chart. And we can see that we are just trickling around the Monday high. So we have the 106.2K level, which is a very important daily level. We have the Monday high method, and we are also starting to see a lot of liquidity around this level. This could suggest that we are going to get a wick above this level before potentially moving lower in the short term. Now, I still think that Bitcoin will stay range bound and we won't get another really aggressive move down unless we go ahead and retest that low 100K level again. Now, if I go back to the Bitcoin chart, the reason I say that is because we know that with these trend lines, if we test them multiple times, that is typically when we can go ahead and break lower. And this level in particular is the 100K level. We can see that we tested it here once, we tested it here again, and then we got a nasty wick below that level, but we still closed above, which allowed for continuation for Bitcoin. This is also where we entered our most recent long in my community. Now, the thing is, if we come back down and test this level at some point, it's likely that we will eventually break it, and then this would continue in this parallel channel over the course of the summer. Then maybe we hold it as support, come back up, and it's planning to be a very choppy and brutal summer for those of you that are inexperienced traders. Now, that's what I'm talking about on the channel. I want to do my best to make sure that you can trade with me, or at least I provide some kind of analysis that you enjoy, and I make sure that you don't get chopped up over the course of this summer. So what we can see here is, yes, this is another level that we need to consider if we come back down. And the last reason why I think there is a chance that we can at least roll over a little bit here is because if we take a look at the Bitcoin exchange liquidation map, we can see that over the past 30 days, yes, there are still more shorts in the market. We cannot neglect that. But over the past 7 days, we can see that there are way more longs piling into the market. You'll remember 2 videos ago when Bitcoin was sitting below $99,000 and I said that I was going long, and I also shared it within the community. There were way more shorts in the market, over 8 times more shorts in the market. And right now, if we look at this chart, we can actually see that as longs start to pile in, there is under 2 times more shorts than longs in the market. So seeing this imbalance trying to sort itself out is ultimately positive, and it does allow me to take a little bit of a quick trade here to see if Bitcoin can go ahead and move lower. Now, outside of what Bitcoin is doing, of course, ETH against Bitcoin is still struggling. And as I disclosed in my last video, we are struggling against this bull market support band. If you're a very inexperienced trader, honestly, I would highly recommend that you study the bull market support band. The reason being is because it applies to many metrics in the market, not just Bitcoin, not just Ethereum against Bitcoin, not just altcoins, but also the total crypto market cap, excluding Bitcoin. We can see here that we broke below the bull market support band, and now we are trying to test this and see if we can get back above. I really like this band because it's the intersection between the 20-week simple moving average and the 21-week exponential moving average, and it creates the bull market support band. You can see that a lot of times when we're below it, it acts as resistance, and when we are above it, it does go ahead and hold as support. Now, this is a much longer time frame view if you're trading this market, but ultimately it does help us make our decisions in terms of trading. But what I also wanted to show you on this chart is the fact that despite Bitcoin holding up reasonably well, obviously the rest of the crypto market isn't doing so well. And this also aligns with my thesis that over the course of this choppy summer, Bitcoin dominance will likely continue to increase. Probably not what you want to hear. So now that I take a look at these charts, I also wanted to discuss what the Fed Chair Powell's testimony gave today. That is, number 1, Fed is well positioned to wait and see on rate cuts. Tariffs are likely to push up inflation, weigh on economy, no immediate signal of interest rate cuts provided. Now this I know makes a lot of people angry in crypto. Also, the labor market conditions have remained solid. We cannot ignore that fact. Inflation has eased, but it remains somewhat elevated. Powell is simply not ready to cut rates. These were his comments today. And to wrap up this quick video, back to the Bitcoin chart. I think we're going to stay within this range over the course of the summer unless I'm proven wrong here, but this is currently my base case. Now, if this is the range, and let's say at some point Bitcoin does find its way back up here and we start to notice that it acts as resistance, at that point we can play the range over the course of the summer. With these ranges, it's very tricky because eventually they do go ahead and break out, but we saw that over the course of the last summer, we chopped around several times, and I actually only started making money trading this range right around here when we touched the top of this range and I went short. Now, I didn't have a community back then. I didn't have a YouTube channel, but I'll make sure to keep you updated in my free community. That is the first link in my description down below. And if you don't want to join that, no worries. I also have my YouTube channel, which I'm posting daily content on. So don't forget to subscribe. But what I'm getting at here is If you get to the point where this range has been established and it continues to be respected, you can easily short the top of the range and long the bottom of the range. A lot of people try to play these breakouts, but they end up getting wrecked. As you can see, we wick above and then we come right back down. We wick to the bottom and then we pump right back up. This is a lot of money making opportunity, so I'll make sure to keep you updated on this range as it continues to establish itself. Now, if you're early in the range, it does obviously become a little bit risky because you don't know if it will break up or break down. But for now, I'm just waiting to see how Bitcoin will react. Number one, at this 106.2K level, which coincides with a lot of key levels on the chart. And number two, if we end up coming back down and then moving up and resisting at this level, that's the point in time where I would probably go ahead and go short in this market. And I will, of course, update you in the community. And that sums up today's video. In terms of a risk-adjusted trade here, Bitcoin is at a very important level, which is why I'm willing to take a quick gamble on a short, targeting around 103 to 102.5K. The reason being, one, we are near the Monday high level and we've seen us getting rejected at this level several times. Two, we know this is 106.2K, and 106.2K is a very important daily level, which we've respected several times. We wick above and then we come back down. However, if we get acceptance back above this level, at that point, Bitcoin does go ahead and tend to move higher. Number three, liquidity is starting to build up to the upside, which I'm expecting an SFP wick to potentially target that liquidity and then come back down. And number four, we know that shorts are no longer completely dominating longs on the market. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still around 2 times more shorts in the market than longs, but it's definitely an improvement compared to the 8x just a few days ago. And of course, if you're in my community, you likely already considered entering this trade earlier this morning. Overall, though, it does look like Bitcoin wants to chop around this range for the foreseeable future. And then, you know my expectations. At the end of summer, I think Bitcoin will go ahead and have a massive breakout, and we will be getting some kind of altcoin season. Now, over the course of the summer, that is when I will be considering which altcoins to buy. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.